visas that require state or territory nomination are visas 190 and 491. The 190 visa is a permanent state nomination skilled visa. 491 is a temporary, but technically we call it provisional skilled regional visa, and it's granted for 5 years, and it offers a permanent residence pathway. Other visas do not require state or territory nomination. The 190 means a state visa. If you are nominated by New South Wales, for example, for a 190 visa, you can live and work in Sydney even after that visa is approved. But if we're talking about the 491, you're going to be restricted to regional areas after the visa is approved. And by regional areas, at the moment, under legislation, we mean the whole country except Sydney, except Melbourne, except Brisbane. As I said, most of the states will also require you to be living and working outside of those 3 cities before they can nominate you. So having a closer look at the permanent visa 190, you can nominate an occupation in the medium and long-term list or on the short-term list, but you also need to nominate an occupation that's in that state or the territory list. And state and territories decide their own lists, and their lists don't include all occupations in the MLTSSL or in the STSOL. Each state and territory also has their own requirements. So again, mostly people living and working or living and studying in that area. Once this visa is granted, as I said, you will be required to live and work in the state that nominated you for at least 2 years. It is a permanent visa, so it's the best visa we're going to be talking about today. However, it's harder to be nominated for a 190 than for the 491 visa. These requirements are the same for the 491. If you're over 45, you cannot apply for this visa. You must have a positive skills assessment in an occupation in the state list. You must score at least 65. Some states may require more points in the points test, and you have to have the minimum level of English and the nomination. The 491 visa has all those same requirements. However, it is a 5 years visa, as I said, not a permanent visa. You have full work rights and Medicare benefits, but it will be restricted for the duration of that visa to only live in regional areas, which is pretty much the whole country except Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne. There's more occupations to nominate for this visa. There's 3 different lists. Some occupations are only available for this visa, but again, each state and territory has their own occupation lists and their own nomination requirements. People who get the 491 visa may be able to apply for a permanent residence visa later, and this is the visa that is available to those people. It's subclass 191, skilled regional visa. This visa is not open for applications yet. It will open in November this year. Why? Because the main requirement is that applicants must have held the 491 visa for at least 3 years before they can apply. And the 491 visa was implemented on the 16th of November 2019. Therefore, 3 years from that is November 2022. This visa will have no age limits, no occupation lists, but the person must show that they have been working in regional Australia for 3 years while holding the 491 visa and earning the minimum salary for migration purposes, which is 53,900 plus super every year. Now, when I say salary, that's not very accurate. It should be income, because income means someone can get a 491 visa and open their own business, work as a contractor, have several jobs. At the end of the financial year, they must have show evidence they earned at least a minimum salary. And this is because the government wants only people who can get skilled jobs after the 491 to apply for PR, for a permanent visa. Now, why are these two visas so popular? It's because there's more places for these visas than for the permanent skilled independent visa 189. And that has been a trend since even before the pandemic. The government was already reducing the numbers for these visas, the places, so people can be granted permanent visas in a financial year, even before the pandemic. Since 2018, things started going down for the 189 visa. Now, with the pandemic, we saw an even further reduction. So we used to have 16,000-ish places for this visa, 189. With the pandemic, we only got 6,500 for that financial year. So a reduction in 61%. And that was brought over to this current financial year. So the skilled independent visa that doesn't require state nomination, and it is permanent, has only 6,500 places. In fact, only around 2,000 of those places were granted last year. And this year, so far, and we are in the middle of the financial year, only 600 of those visas were granted. So the government really doesn't want to grant visas in this category anymore. They've been shuffling things around, increasing the number of employer-sponsored places, of regional visas, and also partner visas, and reducing here. So as you can see, regional means the 491, and we have 11,200 places, and state nominated is the 190, another 11,200 places. So there's more places for regional and state nominated visas. States and territories, however, when they get their share of those 24,000-ish visas, it's not a lot. For example, the Northern Territory only got 500 places for the 190 visa and 500 places for the 491.